The Masters is gonna be coming up live tomorrow on ESPN. It's gonna start around the first round. I think it's around 3 p.m. It's gonna last till 7 p.m. tomorrow, and then Friday goes on throughout the whole weekend. We'll see who's crowned on Sunday. A lot of people are anticipating the Masters. Myself, this is gonna be the first time that I'm watching the Masters, so I'm gonna give it up to myself. Becoming a golf fan.
Hey, golf club, baby, golf club.
Yeah, right. Yeah, true. No,
Golf, man.
it's trying to become a golf enthusiast, trying to actually play very well in real life and even on the video games as well. I'm trying to get that PGA 2K, you know what I'm saying?
Mario Golf.
Yeah, right. Mario Golf. Yo, that used to be the stuff, man. Not gonna lie.
GameCube got me, man.
Yeah. You know more about the Masters than I do. You know more about golf than I do. So I wanted to get your ins and outs on how excited you are for this tournament. So about to start. What do you expect from it? What's your analytical take on it so far?
Oh, I love the Masters. Definitely all the hype it should be. If you're a golf fan, doesn't even need explaining. If you're not, there's kind of just a seriousness to it, but more serene. It's not like the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals where the energy goes up. It's just there's a high competitive edge there that you love to see. There's no lack of the top players. Obviously, this will be the first time Tiger or Phil Mickelson, not playing in the tournament since 20 years ago. Tiger with his whole recent car issue again for the 100th time. Phil Mickelson with some of his own family. Yeah, Phil Mickelson with some of his own family issues as well. But either way, neither of those guys can be there. But who will be there? Some of those live tournament guys. I'm not sure how updated you guys are with the split there between the PGA and the live. Live being its own tournament, stealing some of the PGA stars over there. DeChambeau, John Rahm, people like that. Those two guys in particular have been playing very hot. Rahm especially was a top 3 player in the world, top 2, number 1 at one point in terms of PGA rankings before joining Onward to Live, kind of the enemy of the PGA Tour per se. They're trying to merge and do the whole thing, but that's a whole nother thing. So some special allowance to let some of those live tournament players play in this tournament. This is a PGA Tour event. It's not just a Masters event. So for them, those two guys, particularly John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, they've been very hot lately this season on the live tour. So there are going to be some names that people really, if you're talking about money, betting, or things like that, you're going to see their names on the boards. Scotty Scheffler, always the kingpin for the PGA lately. He's going to be your probably your odds favorite. I haven't checked odds or anything like that, but he's going to be your odds favorite. He's on the PGA Tour. He's pretty much consistently. I'm not going to compare anybody to the run that Tiger had, but he's like your consistent bet on him guy from the PGA Tour the past year or two. He's had some amazing runs, especially last year. He's all that. He deserves to be up there. He is one of the top players in the world. He's probably the best player in the world, even on days that he's not looking as consistent. So I like him to be as a top player. I think a sleeper pick is Ludwig Aberg. He's kind of been one of those guys lately that's been finishing in top 5s but not winning. But either way, I love him a lot. He's somebody that you're going to see as a sleeper. People like Justin Rose, the veterans, those are other guys that are always going to be probably up there as well because they do well in these major tournaments. But throughout the calendar year, they're not in as many tournaments because of, I'm not saying they're old, but they're starting to age. They play only the major big one thing, bigger events. So if you're super into golf, if you're looking into, who do you think's going to win, if you're making any wagers like that, not throwing names out there for you to pick, I'm just saying these are going to be the names you see. Those live golfers been hot lately. The PGA Tour guys have been consistent. And Aberg, I think, Aberg, will probably be, I'm not going to say he's my pick, but he'll be the guy I'm rooting for, even though Rory McIlroy is my favorite golfer. I think now that he's did his career Grand Slam by winning last year, it's very hard to follow up and win back-to-back years. You haven't seen that since Tiger Woods in 2000 something, early 2000s. That Tiger was the last person to win back-to-back Masters, and only 2 other people have ever done it. So there's all that in terms of your overall breakdown of what you expect to see at the top of the leaderboard. You will get 2 or 3 other stragglers, guys like Schauffele and whoever. But it's a very exciting board if you're a golf fan, especially going into Sunday. I just hope it's tight and that we don't get one of those 4 or 6 shot leads heading into Sunday, and that is it was truly competitive all throughout.
Yeah. So you brought up Scotty, right? And I saw that he recently just had a baby boy, and he's been off of the golf course, off of any training for the past 2 months, right?
Mhm.
And I saw a couple of golf analysts talking about how it would affect him coming back. And before I ask you what you think, I just want to like point out I've had this experience, and I know you've had this experience of like when it comes to basketball, let's say, right? That you'll take a hiatus because of whatever, whatever thing that you got going on in your life that you can't go out there and go out to the court and play. I've gone a few months, either because of an injury or because of just taking rest or whatever of not playing basketball, right? Coming back, and then I feel completely normal. I feel like I'm still as good as I was before, even before that break. And even comparing it to golf, right now, just took like a month and a half hiatus on it as well. I just played this past weekend and came back. I'm not a great golfer. I wouldn't even say I'm a good golfer, but still had the same amount of numbers than I had previously to now. So just putting that all together, do you think the fact that he hasn't played in 2 months is going to affect his chances to get the third jacket?
No, not really, because I agree with what you're saying. I think a large gap, a year, something like that, like Justin Thomas just went through. He came back. Bay Hill kind of looked like he was struggling because he was so rusty. And there's injuries, there's different things, but that showed in his game. When you take a small break, like you mentioned, a month, maybe even two, that is a large break for an everyday golfer. But for somebody whose game is so pure, you kind of get rid of all the bad habits that you've been overthinking in recency. Like you said about basketball, you shoot a couple corner threes, you're a little off on them, you try to adjust to the next game. Then you make those adjustments, and then something else falters, and you adjust to that. You know how golf is; it's that times 100. Your putt game is great, then you over focus on it. You're like, oh, I'm good there, and then I'm gonna fix my drive. Now your putt game starts struggling, and it goes left and right. But professional at his level, his pure game just showing up is going to be good regardless, and he's proven that he's very consistent. Coupled with a 2 month break is a seemingly big break. Obviously, there's other elements to this with the kid and things like that, right? Not coming off an injury, but it's not as though I'm not saying he's just skipping tournaments left and right, but he's not playing every single week. You're going to have a lot of tournaments where they're playing the Barracuda Open in Puerto Rico and stuff like that he's not even at in the first place. So naturally, you're going to get maybe a couple weeks off, 3 weeks off constantly throughout the season. They don't play every single tournament. If you're a lower level player, then you're trying to play all these tournaments. Even those mid tier guys like a Jordan Spieth, who at one point was the top tier guy, and now is kind of one of those. And I'm not saying mid tier, he's still a great player, but he's like one of those people that he might play a couple more events than a Scheffler, than someone like Brooks Koepka and Liv and stuff like that, where they take some of those tournaments off to rest their body, get back in a good mental space, maybe just practice on some things, and then they come back maybe 2, 3, maybe even a month later. So I don't think a 2 month break for a consistent player like him is as big a deal as somebody analytically might let on. I do still think, he's probably doing something, practicing, staying fresh, doing things to keep his game going. And he is, if I took every player currently in the world and gave them a year off and then had them come back, I think his game most naturally has the best effect in terms of just naturally bouncing back. He's a very natural player. He doesn't have any real weaknesses. He's very consistent. He hits the green. He puts well. He approaches well. He scrambles well. He's calm in big moments. He's honestly, he's an overall perfect player if you had to build a player. A nice, boring, simple player. But he's that allows for him to have a time off like this and then come back. He's not overly dependent on one aspect of his game the way Rory taking 2 months off might affect him if his drive's not hitting as clean. Because now he's hitting from the rough or he's hitting from places that he doesn't naturally always do well at. So I'm not going to think it affect him too much. It should affect the odds, I'm sure. Again, I don't bet and things like that. But aside from that, I think he'll look fine.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I think he's too much of a baller to let that affect him for sure. But I like the fact that you bring up Roy. He won the last Masters tournament, and he was actually interviewed today. And I was listening to the interview, and he was talking about how he's going to enjoy all the assets that come with being a champion for the Masters, all the the incentives that it comes with it as well that this weekend. With that being said, all the stuff that he's going to enjoy, all the stuff that he's going to do during this weekend, on top of the fact that he's going to be playing and defending a title, basically, how high of a percentage would you give him to actually win it back to back?
I won't go too high to actually win it, mainly because there's that little bit of a relax, right? Like I did it, and remember, this was his completion of his Grand Slam, winning all four majors. It's the only one he hadn't had, and he won it, and he finished it off there. So it was a beautiful moment. He was able to have that completion feel like he completed a huge checklist off his career. It was like the last thing he really needed to do. And now that he did that, sure, you have that complacency, and people think he's just not gonna. It won't even matter as much because he already pursued it. But if you paid attention to his career, him chasing that major with the pressure of knowing that was far bigger than probably the complacency pressure. I think it took so much out of him year after year after year, not winning that tournament or coming up short or struggling big time just right out the gate because the pressure of making it happen was so big on him, so heavy on him that now that he's won it, even if he were complacent, I think that complacency would be less than the pressure he had previously. So in terms of that, I don't think he's just going to go out there and be so lax because he's won and blasé that if he doesn't win, it's not a big deal. I think he will still look good. He hasn't looked bad in recent tournaments either. He's had a little bit of a roller coaster if you go back about 5-6 tournaments. But overall, I think his game is ready to go. I just think the field and how the rest of the competition, it's just so tough to do it that even, like I said, even only 3 people have ever done it, right? So for it to be that tough in the first place, it's hard to pick him. But I see him having fun. He's enjoying it. And I think his game is naturally good enough that when he's relaxed, he'll play well. And he has played well recently. So I won't rule it out, but I would say that the guys I previously mentioned have looked hotter going into this tournament or more consistent in their game, coupled with guys like Fleetwood and all these other just below that Morikawa, those kind of players. They could easily compete in this as well. You're always going to get some of these like dark horses. I'm going to consider like Fleetwood a dark horse. It's just not a household name if you're not a big golf fan. But I think those kind of people might have an ability to shine. If you're Rory and you make the cut and you're within 3 to 4 strokes throughout the whole tournament, going into Sunday, let's just say that he loses. I don't care if it comes in 5th or 10th, whatever. If he's within 3 or 4 putts of winning this game, winning the tournament overall, I would say that's a win for him, just being a strong competition. I don't see him winning again. I would love it. He's my favorite golfer. It's just history says otherwise.